These are the hats that we spoke of for a lot of tea parties, ladies that go to church services.
For 3 months, Rufus Bartell has been waiting to reopen his clothing shop. Simply Casual, along what's known in Detroit as the Avenue of Fashion. Forget what you may think about Detroit. Bartell says he has benefited from an economic renaissance in the Motor City.
But, old reputations are hard to break.
But when COVID-19 hit,
well, it's come to a screeching halt.
A host of businesses are trying to fight their way through the pandemic. Detroit is more than 85% African American, and Bartell says there is no question blacks are disproportionately hurt.
Black community has definitely been ill affected, and I think the main thing that contributes to that is that I don't think they understand the culture. They don't understand the economics on the ground, and they don't do a good job of finding that out.
I have so much anxiety about, my being able to reopen. What's it going to look like when I reopen? Can I sustain? Will I reopen?
And you can count Nia Marshall among those frustrated with the federal stimulus package and the way the trillions are being doled out. Without a close connection with a banker, she says she has been on the outside looking in, receiving no assistance. She bought this building and spent more than a year sinking everything she had to open Ivy Kitchen. Marshall had the restaurant open 74 days before the coronavirus shut her down. And the hardest part was telling her 26 employees they were out of work.
Not only are you laying them off, but you can't give them a severance, that you can't, they can't even file unemployment because I wasn't open long enough.
Statistics show as many as 40% of businesses shuttered by COVID-19 will go under. And even though downtown business has blossomed, Detroit is still a city where as much as 30% of the population live below the poverty rate. But ask business owners why they fight.
This is a labor of love.
Well, it's been a labor of love.
The left hook was COVID-19, and the right hook is a national racial crisis that we're dealing with right now.
Dennis Archer Jr. is the son of a former Detroit mayor, an attorney, entrepreneur, and owner of Central Kitchen and Bar in downtown Detroit.
So that's empty under there?
While Archer and his manager strategize over how to reopen the restaurant, he is keenly aware of the strife gripping the United States right now. The question, how to defuse the crisis.
Historically, we haven't had generational access to capital. We don't have generational wealth transfer with our families. Statistics show that if I walk into a bank, I'm going to get a worse rate than you.
That is your job, to protect and to
And that pent-up anger has been boiling over in the streets following the killing of George Floyd by police in Minnesota. And when it comes to Donald Trump, who claims to have done more for African Americans than any other president,
things are not going to change in the country in terms of how people feel and how people respond to controversy until there is a change in leadership at the top. And by that, I mean the President of the United States.
So many small businesses were already on the brink of not reopening, and this situation, the Floyd situation, is just going to make it even worse.
What precipitated these riots are the frustration of sitting at home for 3 months, the frustration of not knowing where your next job or even meal in some cases are coming from.
All are convinced that COVID-19 will be beat, chiefly by listening to healthcare officials. But race relations, that is a nationwide conversation that is just beginning. Sean Caleb, CGTN, Detroit, Michigan.